Adam, Greg, and Richard right here on Talking Red. Hello and welcome to Talking Reds, a Nottingham Forest podcast hosted by myself, Greg Oram, and he's back. It's my fellow Forest fanatic from across the Atlantic, Richard Spray. How you doing, Richard? You okay, Richie?
I'm doing much better. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to this. We got a legend on our podcast today, which is great.
Awesome. I think it's fair to say that football fans can at times be a funny breed. They whine and have multiple meltdowns per week and can turn quicker than the drop of Bonnie Blues knickers. But they're also loyal, not only to the club they support, but also to each other. And no fan base is better at this than the supporters of Nottingham Forest. And our guest today is a podcaster himself, as one member of Red Side of the Trent and a huge Forest fan who recently discovered firsthand just how special the Forest family are when tributes and donations and sponsorship poured in when he announced the cancer diagnosis of his wife, Emma. And the drive to raise money for awareness for the brain tumour charity. The Forest fan base showed that when one of us is down, the support is truly there for the battle that lies ahead. And coming together as one only makes us stronger. He's just completed Tough Mudder, and he's with us today to share his story and chat all things Forest. So please sit back and enjoy the One with Adam Wiklo.
He's not a machine. He's a man. Get out of here, son of a bitch. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Damn right, come on.
Don't take life for granted. In the blink of an eye, everything can change. So forgive often and love with all your heart. You'll never know if you'll have the chance to do it again.
I had visions this morning of you in Tough Mudder and getting ready for that battle, and I kind of thought, I need to do an intro that's going to be motivational, but also kind of thinking about what you as a family have been going through together and how that kind of never give up attitude is really crucial. Welcome to Talking Reds, Adam. How are you this morning, sir?
Oh, thank you very much for that. I mean, I felt like I was serenaded. I almost felt emotional. And then I wasn't sure if Rocky was coming. And it's one of my all-time favourite films. Like, I love Stallone in that. I love the whole montage of him. And then I love the whole Adrian. Like it just kind of epitomizes sport in a sense, like that whole Rocky film. But no, really well, guys. Thank you very much for having me on, Richie. This is, unbelievable commitment. What are you, like 5 a.m., 6 a.m.? I didn't think Forest were that big.
You're on. I think Richard's on mute over there, so he'll.
Oh,
he'll take
sorry, I'm sitting here talking away. You'd think I got over that after COVID, right? And all the virtual meetings we do now. Yeah, I'm doing. Yeah, I'm here. I feel good. In this household, Forest is everything. So I'm sure it's the same for you guys.
So, we're going to get into things, and for the One With episodes, we always try and find out as much about our guests as possible. Before we do that, I want to say thank you to everyone who's joining us on X and on YouTube. Please do go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind. It really helps us to push the word out there. As you know, we're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok and Instagram, and so on and so on. So please hit like and subscribe and follow us wherever you can. Okay, right, let's get started. Adam, everyone gets asked this question. What is your Forest story and why are you a Forest fan?
I've got a bit of an unusual. It's not an unusual story. It's just a bit of a. It took a long time to become a proper Forest fan, I would say. So, like when I was younger, my brother used to play a lot of football on a Saturday. I played football on a Sunday. Played football up until I was about 18, even tried as an adult, but I had too many injuries. So when I was about 17, I tore my cruciate ligament. So then I would go to the odd Forest game and I'd go to the odd Notts County game as well. Whenever I could get tickets, if I could go to football, I'd just go. Like I was just a football fan. I liked even Man United back in the day because of like, I loved Cantona. Like he was my first like kind of, oh my God, he's an amazing. It was when he come back from that ban, when he chewed for the Crystal Palace ban or whatever it was. And then he chipped the Sunderland keeper. And I was like, who is this man? He's amazing. He's got aura. So I liked Man United for a little bit. But then, yeah, so I used to go with, like, my dad would take me here and there. I think, like, Bradford City might have been my first game. I think we beat them 3-0, maybe back in the Championship or something like that. I can't really remember, to be honest. But no, tore my cruciate. Started to go more regularly with my friend. We'd just like rock up, and then Stuart Pearce took over, and we were like, "Should we get a season ticket?" Because we're going quite often. Like we're going a lot. Like under Billy Davis was going there, was going to the away games when we could get tickets. It was like we're going to loads. Let's just get a ticket. Like Pearce is coming back. Let's get a season ticket, and then kind of been going ever since. I mean, I've not got a season ticket at the moment, but I'm lucky enough that I can get to as many games as possible anyway with the membership and through sources get to away games as well. But yeah, it's more because I fell out of love for a little bit because of personal stuff, and also we kept sacking managers and I hated it. Like I absolutely hated that we kept sacking managers. Martin O'Neill was the last straw for me at that point as well. I went Rotherham away. We lost 2-1 to one of the worst teams I've ever seen in the Championship at the time. And I went, I'm not watching this if he's manager. And he's a legend of the club. And I got that mad at him. I nearly had I just had enough because we just kept sacking people. But yeah, that's kind of my Forest story, if you want to call it. I did a YouTube channel. I was possibly one of the first or one of the few at the time. Was doing quite well, and then one Martin O'Neill came in and I was hopefully going to get a job at the club. I kind of got disheartened and as a naive 20-something-year-old kid, because that's what I was essentially. I didn't see kind of the long-term vision of, especially with football YouTube now and football podcasts and everything. I think if I'd carried it on, I don't know what would have been, but I think it would have been, I don't know, something different. But then again, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. I wouldn't be talking to you guys. I wouldn't know so many people from doing this sort of thing. And everything happens for a reason, I guess.
It's quite an admission to make that you liked Man United, and it probably
it was Cantona, and I loved Rooney at the time, like when I was a kid as well, because you're like street footballer. He came I liked him at Everton, and I was just like, what a raw kind of guy.
Yeah.
I just loved football at the time. I love a lot of different footballers, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, my son Orlando, he's 8 years old, and I've been very happy to kind of pass on the Forest supportership to him, and he loves Forest, but he's very much in that I love individual football players kind of era. I think young people look at them as role models. I mean, he's a big Ronaldo fan, as they all are. He knows more players from the likes of PSG and Inter and other teams on the continent than I do, because I'm not really paying attention to it. So he's on playing FC25 or whatever it is, and we do football quizzes on my phone together, and he's like nailing all these answers about when his players play. So I completely get and empathise and understand that when you're a younger person, you're attracted to the kind of aura that a player like Rooney has, and so on. But we're just pleased and thrilled that you made your way out of the darkness and into the light, and you're now proudly a big Forest fan.
It was more of a fan of punishment, if anything, because we can all relate to that. It's just self-inflicted punishment, isn't it? And we quite like it. I always think this, and I think this is with Forest fans especially. We really like the journey, right? And then the destination is good as well, but I think we really enjoy the journey because it's more of a story. It's more fun, isn't it? And I've got a project coming up soon, which is my 9-year-old nephew, because he's massive into go-kart. He go-karts nationally. He's a British champion last year. So, but he only knows Marcus Rashford, and that was because he was feeding him school dinners at one point. and that's sacrilege now. He knows all of the F1 lineup. He's like a massive Ayrton Senna fan, so I'm gonna have to try and I'm basically getting him the Panini sticker book, and he will know every footballer in the Premier League at least. That is my project coming up soon.
Very nice. It's got to be done, right? Got to make sure you convert. Yeah. So from a Red Side of the Trent perspective, kind of want to jump into that. So we had Reese on too, which was absolutely wonderful to chat with him a few months ago. So how did that all come to fruition in terms of developing that, your part in that, Reese's part in that, Christian? Because you guys, I think Lee as well is on there frequently as well, Lee Clark. But how did that all kind of come to pass?
Yeah, funny enough. So me and Reese were kind of interacted on Twitter, but like never really took a note of like anything further. We just like kind of had a similar opinion. And then someone put out a thing like, oh, tag a Forest fan that you've really enjoyed interacting with this season. And I was like, well, I speak to Reese quite a lot. So I tagged him in, and then he like, we kind of like got speaking after that. Like he was like, oh, thanks. That's really nice. Blah, blah, blah. And then he invited me to like come and play football one day because he lives like he's from Ilkeston, which is like a small town not far from me, Richard. I don't know if you know Nottingham very well or Nottinghamshire. So it's very much on the border. It's a lot of Derby fans, a lot of Forest fans. So came to play football with him, and then I just mentioned like he was on about doing podcasts and stuff, and I said, well, I used to do a YouTube channel and I used to do a podcast on there, and then he got like, and then he was like, oh, okay. And then I got a message off him later, like, would you want to do a podcast? And I know 2 other people that are interested in doing it. Like, we could really use you because you've got experience. And I was like, kind of like, no at the time, because I think we was just coming out of, it was just during COVID, like just start like, yeah. So I think it was when Chris Hughton was still in charge, and it was like the very start of that new season. And I was like, I'm not really that sure because we were rubbish last year. Hughton, I'm not a fan of. Am I going to want to talk about us losing every week? Because that's what essentially what it was going to be. And then I was like, yeah, go on then. I'll do the first one. I'll help you out. Do the first one. And then I just got hooked back into it. And even though we were losing, I was just like, no, this is. It's obviously something that I should be doing. Like I can.
It's pretty cathartic, right? It's a good way to kind of release some of your pent up frustration.
Yeah, and then it just so happened to be the most remarkable season of our recent history, where we're basically saying that Chris Hughton is not fit to be a football manager, which is a real shame, really, because you look at his track record with Brighton and Newcastle and those sort of teams. You're like, right, we've got a guy who's experienced in this league and knows how to get out of the league, and he was an absolute disaster. Well, Steve Cooper waltzes in, and then like, yeah, the rest is history as we're living it now, aren't we? We're living that present, and yeah, what a way to get back into like social media and stuff, especially with Forest, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've said quite a few times on here that Richard and I kind of connected via watching Forest Focus mainly, and so when we came together a year ago to do Talking Reds, it was because we'd kind of scratched the itch, or itch to scratch. I'd been on Forest Focus a couple of times and just really enjoyed talking about Forest, and thought, and even before watching any of the Forest podcasts, I've been listening to podcasts for a long time, different types, crime and true crime and all that kind of stuff. I thought I'd love to do a podcast. Because it kind of, my background in doing acting and drama, that kind of stuff, and I've done radio stuff as well, felt like that's something I really would love to do, but how do I do it? And we kind of fell into a bit of luck with Forest having just got promoted, but then we've just had we'd had 2 years of like, you know, quite tough struggles in the Premier League, ups and downs. And then when we launch our podcast, we have the best season we've had for many a year in the Premier League. So we've been quite fortunate. We haven't had too many lows to talk about, and I'm sure that there will be some more along the way. But let's hope not too many. But how do you see the role of fan podcasts and channels? Because we've popped up, and you've been around for a while. Forest Focus are there. Wolfie on Forest Fan TV is a very much a Marmite character. Good friend of ours of the show, but we acknowledge that, you know, he knows as well. He gets a lot of flack, and there's others out there. There's another one that popped up recently as well. And I've always said, and Richard and I think that there's enough room there for everybody to kind of have their little corner of the podcast world. But I wonder, what do you think about the role of fan podcasts like ours that we do and the channels?
That's quite a difficult question to answer, isn't it? I think they play a big part because like so many other football clubs are doing them, and they're obviously like a big kind of thing in the community. Like people can get involved quite a lot in terms of bringing people together, I guess, because like you've got a shared interest there from the get go, and then it's just polarizing opinions, isn't it? It's whether you can find that right good mix of people to spark debate and conversation, I guess. I like to try and get our podcast to be a bit more like, I would love it to be a bit more like pub chat, but sometimes it doesn't quite work out like that. It's a little bit more maybe analytical, I guess, in some respects, and a bit more about football and the broader horizon. I think like our group of people know a lot about the rest of the Premier League and Europe as well, and I think that's kind of imperative as well. Like we've been on other podcasts, especially I've been on another one. I've been on like a Newcastle one, and they were getting comments like, "How do you know so much about our football club?" I was like, "Because I'm a football fan. I'm not just a Forest fan. I'm a football fan." So I think they're all good. Like everyone's got their vices, haven't they? Like if you like what you like, and if you enjoy it doing it, why not? Like it's such a shame. I mean, I know you had Chris Almer, and he's a good friend of mine. And it's a shame that his one's kind of ending in a sense because the commitment of it is so large, and people don't realize how difficult it is to do a podcast, even like just weekly. I mean, Matt Davis, I got massive respect for him doing it every day, because Forest aren't the biggest news story in the land. You go on TalkSport, they're talking about Man United every day. They can talk about Man United every day. They can talk about Man City every day, blah, and all those sort of teams. Forest is quite a difficult one in a sense, but you can go down the street and definitely find someone and talk about Forest every day. It is possible. So yeah, no, I think it's great. I absolutely love it. I think like even like the people who are doing like videos and stuff, like maybe Bray is great. I think he's doing really well. There's a few others. Rads is good. I think they've all got their place, and I think it's just all part of like that community. But as long as it's like it's entertaining, if people find it entertaining, there's no harm, is there?
No, it's not, and it's trying to be different, I suppose. I mean, we, as you know, we do the intros and we do the music and we do the this, the that, and the other, and it's just to kind of like make it different, really, and it's just our personalities. Ultimately, at the heart of everything we do it's Forest. It has to be Forest because that's what we're here for. And some people will watch all of it because they want to get injected as much as possible, and some people only have time to watch maybe one, and that's fine. So, we feel very much that bringing the guys together that do the podcast is really important, because I think it helps bring the whole Forest fan base together. And as I said in the intro, I think there's no better fan base than ours. I know I'm biased, but it's true. The way that they can argue and fight and everything else is funny sometimes. There's a few meltdowns going on social media, but I think when it comes to it, everyone's got each other's back. And long may that continue. I want to say hello to a few in the comments. Bruce is with us. He's asking Richard, have you had any Red Bull so far? No, he doesn't drink coffee, so Red Bull all the way. And Steph, hey, Steph, over in the States, she says it's a nice way to wake up and have her first coffee. So she's already getting her caffeine fix. And Jeff says Wolfie's a legend. He is a legend. He loves the way he winds up the opposition. He also winds up one or two of our own Forest fans as well. And one more from Steph. She says, I appreciate a few different Forest podcasts. Living in the States, no one talks about Forest. ESPN even just skims over us. It makes me feel more part of the Forest family. And I think that's listening to the podcast. So that's great to hear. Richard, let's move ourselves on with the next topic. Over to you.
Yeah. So unfortunately switching gears a little bit, but like you said, you talked about the community concept, and I think it's funny. I've had a conversation with Greg Mitchell about this because American football, which Adam, I think you're familiar with American football.
I'm a Raiders fan, unfortunately.
I know. I saw a picture. I was like, nice, very cool. Old school, man. They're one of the originators in that league. But yeah, it's similar. It's like embedded in the culture, especially like if you have like college teams. So I'm like right down the street from it. So there tends to be, sort of a tight knit unit, and you sort of defend each other and get each other's back, as Greg said. So speaking of that, how is Emma doing? Because I know you talked about that. Greg referenced it in the intro. everyone's just is just hoping and praying for her, to continue to progress and things to go well for her and for you guys. But how are things going with her? And then how has that changed you as an individual in terms of what you guys have been going through together? Because it's obviously a lot to endure. So if you're okay with, just kind of touching on that and what that's meant to you in terms of how the community have supported you through the process.
Yeah, I mean, like Emma's good. She's we're in our third week as we talk now of her treatment for radio and chemotherapy. And it's quite funny. She's almost epitomising Forest fans in terms of pulling her hair out physically, and it's like I've referenced it to like a bit like wallpaper when you start and she can't stop at the moment, unfortunately. But so she's in the process of wondering when to buzz it, basically, and she's got a load of wigs and stuff. And our approach to it is taking it day by day, essentially, and trying to make as many memories and laugh about certain things. We've got quite a dark sense of humor, the two of us, so it's kind of just teetering on the edge of like what's safe to say and what's not. So yeah, and then the support I've had, because I thought, well, as soon as I found this out and then found out like basically the brain tumor charity and brain tumors, there's not a lot of information about them. It's the biggest, it's the cancer that they know the least about, unfortunately, because it just appeared. So our doctor basically said, like, there's nothing that you could have done. There's no kind of explanation of why it's happened. It's just happened, and it's just chosen her, unfortunately, and she's been the victim of cancer and this type, unfortunately. So I just thought, well, I've got to do something. I've got to do something to also take my mind off it, which is why podcasts are also great, and doing this sort of thing is great. So I was like, right, I'm going to raise as much money as I can. My plan was to try and raise £1,000. I've got like a lot of people in the community of not only Forest, but the poker community as well. So, because that's where I was working. I was working at Dust Till Dawn, which is a casino down here in Nottingham. So I was like, right, I'm going to reach out to all those different communities, part of running communities as well with Emma's mum. So that was also somewhere to reach out. I just never expected the explosion, especially with Forest fans. I was like, there might be a couple of people, especially people that listen to the pod, but it just went a bit mental, to be honest. I mean, I think the money at the moment is just under £6,000, and I'm like still a bit flabbergasted at when people like still donating. But yeah, Forest fans were incredibly generous. I had a lot of people reach out to me personally in my direct messages on Twitter and whatever else, and that was really touching. You guys sent me a nice lovely cheese box with some crackers that got shared amongst my in-laws when we went to Centre Park, so that was really, really nice. Thank you very much. And it was a massive surprise, because you just don't expect this sort of generosity from people, but it gives you that hope that as much as the world is going in, it's almost setting itself on fire, there is people that are trying to get buckets of water and put it out as well at the same time, and are spreading a bit of joy around. And that's amazing. And yeah, it's very touching. It's quite hard for me to talk about sometimes, but yeah, I'm very appreciative of everyone.
I can imagine that it is. It's an emotional thing to talk about. You know, you're going through something together as a family. How long have you guys been married for?
4 years.
So still in the early years of your marriage, and it's
we're together for 10 this year as well. So it's not even that long, really, in the grand scheme of things.
So I mean, you just touched on it. You put yourself out there by on X stating that Emma's had this diagnosis and that you wanted to raise money on behalf of the brain tumor charity. You've talked about some of the response already, but and it kind of goes to show that people can be very surprising sometimes. You know, the Forest family I talked about coming together. Perhaps you don't see that so much, but it's in moments like this when it's most unexpected that people want to show you, people you don't even know want to show you, hey, listen, we support you. You know, you guys are going through something, and in some way, if I can give you a £5, or £1, anything and everything is grateful, even if it's just words of encouragement, words of support. So it must have been truly uplifting. I mean, you said that you're touching out just over 6,000 now. I've just posted your Just Giving link into the comments, and we'll put it on the bio as well. So if you're able to donate towards the fundraiser that Adam has been doing on behalf of the brain tumor charity, with Emma's story very much at the heart of that, then please go ahead and give whatever you can. But it must have been so uplifting to all of a sudden, and overwhelming possibly. It's kind of an unexpected that these people that you don't know are like sending you money and saying, you've got this.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous. And then our podcast do a football match every year. We've done it last 2 years. We raised money for Mind, and it wasn't like normally we're quite lucky, so everyone that plays contributes towards the charity as well as paying for the pitch, referee, photographer, blah blah blah. So that we don't really get that many people come and watch like at the actual game. Like we get people like maybe like a couple of mums and dads or partners or whatever, but like quite a lot of people actually came to watch. And then even like there was a game before us, and even they were contributing because Reese's girlfriend Emma, she was going around with like a bit of a bucket, and people were like who weren't even like they'd played in the game before or whatever, they were just putting like a couple of quid in or a fiver, and yeah, it was just very, very nice that what people are doing. Like they didn't have to give too much or anything, or give anything at all, really. Like it was just kind of ask, if you don't ask, you don't get sort of thing. And yeah, it's just bit mental, really, to have raised that much money. I mean, the Brain Tumor charity themselves have sent me they just sent like a card to say like, well done, like you've raised over £5,000, can't believe it, sort of thing. But yeah, and then me and my mate ran Tough Mudder at the weekend, Danny, who's been on our podcast as well, and I used to do YouTube with him, so he ran Tough Mudder with me, and then I'm running the Robin Hood Half Marathon in September. It's all good because I'm keeping the fitness going throughout the summer, trying to keep the pounds off. Although like when you're this emotional, it's so easy to like eat absolutely everything. So I'm trying to keep the willpower going as well at the same time.
So we need to find something a little healthier to send you next time. Not quite the level of cheese volume that we probably got.
Cheese is good.
Yeah. So what's next for you as far as like any charity things that you have coming up that you want to do or you want to kind of talk about, as well as like how things are progressing for Red Side of the Trend? Because I love that you guys are putting out some more content too. It seems like you kind of like added a little bit more to some of the weekly stuff that you normally do. So it's exciting to see kind of like the content wise. Is there anything you want to kind of discuss from that lens too?
Well, it's funny because before Emma got the diagnosis, we talked about me trying to do potentially the podcast full time as well as do a part-time job to keep money in. So it's kind of felt nice that basically I've become her full-time carer now in a sense, because her mobility is not great on her right hand side. She struggles to walk like 50 meters without getting knackered or nearly look like she's going to fall over, bless her. So I've had to become a full-time carer. But then that's kind of coincided with me trying to do the pod full time. So once the season starts to get up, I think you'll probably see more of us try and do a little bit more. And I've already told Matt Davis I'm kind of coming for him in terms of like rivaling him in that sense of doing more. But yeah, because now like there's so many as you guys know, there's so much social media. TikTok's like mental, Facebook, Twitter, everything. So we're just gonna kind of just ramp up the content, really, because I enjoy doing it. It's more of because I enjoy doing it rather than, I want to turn it into a full-time job or anything like that. That will happen if enough people like it, I guess. But I just enjoy doing it. It's something to keep my mind occupied. And I love Forest. I love football. So like, why not? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we love doing it. And that's really why we do it. There's going to be more games. We're going to be in Europe. Yeah. We're not sure which one yet. And we're going to get to that in the second half of today's episode. But for now, thank you very much for sharing about your journey that's happened for you and Emma. We're all behind you, and we'll continue to support you. And I live in North London, but next year I'm going to try so hard to come up for your charity football match. I used to play in goal, so there's a goalkeeper spot going. I'd love to come up and see if I can get on the pitch, but it's been a while. I used to play vets football. I think I retired about 10 years ago. So we'll see. I'm a bit heavier than I used to be, so I might look more like Neville Southall than anything else. Let's crack on. And we ask everyone who comes on to Talking Reds to put together their personal all-time favourite Nottingham Forest 11. And so Wiklo's Reds is on the screen. I'm going to take you through it for those that can't see it. You've gone for Bruce Samba in goal, back four like this: left back Ola Aina, right back Jed Spence, a pairing in the middle of Milenkovic and Murillo, and it's a 4-3-3, so a three-man midfield of James Garner, Elliot Anderson, and Morgan Gibbs-White, and then your front three of Andy Reid, down the middle Lewis Grabban, and on the right Michail Antonio. Fantastic. There's never any wrong answers when it comes to this because it's a personal choice. The ones that mean the most to you. I think you tried to squeeze about another 500 on the bench and thought, I can't decide between him, and everyone tries it. But listen, the manager on a Saturday only gets to put out an 11. So it's an 11 it is. So let's go through one or two of these. Now, you've picked a player that I would pick in my personal 11, and that's Michail Antonio. Tell us why you've gone for him.
So that first season, I had a season ticket with Stuart Pearce. We obviously signed him for what, like 2.5 million, 1.5 million or something ridiculous from Sheffield Wednesday. And you got all their fans going, oh, he's absolutely useless. Like, we're glad to get rid of him. And then he turned into prime Messi in the Championship that season because we were rubbish it was good for the first bit. And then I remember we played Derby at home, and I think Andy Reid, Jack Hobbs, and Chris Cohen got injured, and it kind of derailed our season. And even Matty Fright, I think, got injured in that. So Michail Antonio and Britta Sambalonga, until he got injured as well, had to just do it all on their own. And he was literally a one-man wrecking machine, if you remember, Greg and Richard, like in that Championship season. I think he scored 16 goals, got nearly double figures for assists. And we sold him for absolutely nothing, really, in the grand scheme of things. I think we sold him for West Ham for 7 million, which is absolutely sacrilege. He should have gone for about 20, 25. He was the best player in the Championship that season. He was so good and just so fun to watch. I remember a goal he scored against Bolton at home where he picked the ball up in our half and he took on about 4 or 5 players and then just slammed it home. And I was like, this guy's too good. But he looks like he's going to fall over at every given moment. But yeah, I loved him.
He looks so top heavy because he's a musty guy. And everything you just said is exactly why he'd be in my team. In the dark years of the Championship and League One, there weren't very many highlights, but he truly stood out as being an exceptional talent. And so he would be in my team purely because he brought me so much joy in that season. I thought he was unbelievable. And he's the last player that I was truly gutted about leaving Forest. And I think you're right, 7 million isn't enough. Jeff says in the comments that you left Psycho out. Now, you've got Ola Aina at left back. And what I would say is, these teams are picked relevant to the individual because Psycho was probably before your time, right? So Ola Aina is your guy.
Yeah, yes. Like Stuart Pearce, I can't pick because I never watched him play. Like I was too young to watch, or I was playing anyway, so I wasn't that bothered. So sorry to like piss on your chips, if you want to call it that. If I'd watched Stuart Pearce play, I'm sure I'd have loved him. I love Danny Pinillos. I know he was an honourable mention, but he got injured too much. And all the football I watched was in the Championship. There was no one really that good. So then when we got Ola Aina, and I mean Spence on the other side, I mean what a loan signing he was at the time. But yeah, I love Ola Aina. I just love that he can play both sides. It looks effortless. He's a character on and off the pitch as we've seen. He's just such a good guy. I'm so glad he signed a new deal as well, because he's been so important to us for the last 2 seasons. I mean, I'd have been absolutely gutted if we'd let him go because he has turned into an unbelievable fullback in the Premier League. And I think when we signed him, I think people would have gone, that's all right, free, it's no risk. And now you're going, he's probably worth 20, 30 million. Quite easily. He's outstanding. He's just got no engine. He's got like no health bar, has he? Like runs about. He does like a length for the pitch, and then he's absolutely done after that for about 10 minutes.
I'm looking at your team, and one more player that I'll pick out. I mean, you could. There's lots of obvious reasons why you'd pick any of these, but James Garner is someone you put in the midfield, and there's quite a few options you could have gone for, but you've stuck with the chap we had on loan for a couple of years.
Yeah, I love Jimmy Garner. I think I was so gutted when Man United kind of messed us about, and then we went and signed about 1 million centre midfielders. We could have just waited. I'd have said to Man United, like, here's the money you want for James Garner. Let us have first refusal, because I think if we'd signed James Garner, he would still be playing now. Him and Elliot Anderson would be our central midfield pairing because I just think he's so good. I think he's exceptional. He was telling people he didn't even clear out his locker because he was adamant that he was coming back permanently. And I just loved him. Like, there was a game, I believe it might have been even in the Derby game in the promotion season, where there was a lot of chaos on the edge of our box, and he just Cruyff turned on the edge of our box in like a lot of like traffic, and then just play the ball out like it, and it was like it was nothing. And I was like, I remember I was watching it with Reese, and I turned around to him and just went, "He's too good for us." and I loved him because he was like this skinny white kid, looked like he's never seen sunlight and he's gaming all day. But then like he'd run like 20, 30 yards and absolutely crunch a man in the right back position like he did it against Huddersfield in the playoff final. And I was like, he's got everything. He has got everything. And I think for Everton, he was the best. He's been the last 2 seasons we've played Everton. He's been the best player on the pitch at the City Ground, and it's because it's home for him. Really, let's face it.
Yeah. No, listen, no arguments at all. It's a fantastic team. Thank you very much. That's Wiklo's Reds. All right then. You are listening to Talking Reds.
About as fucking consistent as pigeon shit on Trafalgar Square.
Well, yeah. And we're going to take a very quick break. Here comes the Cheese Trader.
The Cheese Trader, based on Grape Lane in York, is a cheese lover's paradise. Home to some wonderful specialty cheeses, relishes and chutneys, and also with a fantastic street food menu. Try their loaded fries or posh cheese on toast. It'll be the best you've ever had. Owned by Forest fan Stu Freestone, the Cheese Trader proudly sponsors Talking Reds. Quote Talking Reds every time to get 10% off your order. The Cheese Trader and Talking Reds, the perfect cheesy mix.
Perfect cheesy mix indeed, and I can attest as well. I've still got some in the fridge. Actually, we had a hamper arrive, and I tried. I think it's called Green Thunder or something like that. It's a garlicky, herby one, and it is unbelievable. So do check out the Cheese Trader. Get your order in. You can get a next day delivery. All the links, etc., are in the bio. Want to say thank you very much to Mark Wayway NFFC for the £2 donation that goes into the pot, and he's predicting that Elliot Anderson will be massive this season. We completely concur. Elliot Anderson is absolutely fantastic, and we absolutely believe that he definitely will be massive. In terms of the Forest and Leon situation, we're going to come to that a bit later on. Vic says that TalkSport are currently talking to John Textor. I caught the start of that before we came on, so I'll have to listen back. It was getting quite interesting, but the whole Leon Palace Forest menage a trois threesome situation is something we'll get into in just a little while. But I think right now it's time for this.
The lightning round!
Yeah, sorry, Wiklo. You're going to be inundated with a little bit of Friends reference and Easter eggs here. But yeah, the lightning round. So we just got a handful of questions for you. We'll just rattle through them. First thing that comes to your mind. So favorite Forest player of all time?
I'm going to go Elliot Anderson now.
Ooh,
I don't care.
There you go. Yeah, I was going to say, that's your guy.
He's my guy.
Yeah. What about your favorite Forest match, your first Forest match live?
See, this is where I'm going to struggle because a lot of people, I get really jealous of people who are like, oh, this is my first game. Like, I went with my dad, blah, blah, blah. I don't really remember. I'm pretty sure it was like Bradford 3-0 in the Championship. I couldn't tell you who scored or anything. Probably like Paul Evans or someone rubbish like that. God knows. But yeah, no, I can't really remember, to be honest. So I'm going to have to pass.
Yeah, no worries. What about what player in Forest history would you like to see on the current squad?
Ooh, I think we need probably a striker, if anything. And I just think, like, I know there's a lot of people that polarize against this person, but I never got to see him like properly because he was too young. But I think Stan Collymore would be unbelievable in this team.
Oh,
best Forest striker I think we've ever had.
Okay. Oh, we know you know Kits because you're a friend of Reese's. Your favorite away or third kit?
Favorite. I really enjoyed actually we didn't wear it too much in that promotion season. I enjoyed the pink and blue that we've got. So kind of glad it kind of made a kind of half comeback last season, although we didn't see it very much.
Yeah. Speaking of Reese, like I've been like Greg knows, I've been like coveting this one for years now, a couple years now, and it was ashamed I didn't actually purchase it at the time. But he was the one who actually helped me find this one. So these guys got magic. If you're looking for shirts, go to Reese. What about your favorite Forrest moment or memory?
So I was talking to Chris Elmer the other day, and people will now forget this because we went to the playoffs and we've had like Premier League stuff. But I think Derby away is always going to live in my memory. Like watching Ben Osborne run and just pong one in the top corner or bottom corner, and well, when we were rubbish and they were quite good was quite fun. It was like slow motion. I said to Chris at the time, it was very strange. But so yeah, I'd probably still say that weirdly.
Hey, it's great.
No,
If you weren't a Forest fan, what club would you support?
I think I would still be local, so I'd probably have to say Notts County.
Listen. Fuck off. Get out.
Yeah, well, I kind of gather, but I think if I was going to choose someone not in Nottinghamshire, it'd probably be Aston Villa. Unfortunately.
Very cool. Yeah. It's kind of like we feel like we're sort of working our way towards not their PSR situation. I think this off season, but kind of inching our way towards that kind of approach to things, right? With the European campaign that they had a couple years ago in the Conference League. What about, apart from Brian Clough, who is your favorite Forest manager?
Ooh, tough that one. I'm going to stick up for someone very left field. I'm going Dougie Freedman.
Interesting. I don't think we've heard that one, Greg. I like it.
No, we haven't. But without you explaining it, I completely understand why. He had a real tough deal on his hands.
He did, and he got like a lot of flack when we literally had no money and we had Chris O'Grady. I mean, to keep us in the league with Chris O'Grady up front, that says it all, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. All right. If Forest could sign one player from a non-top 6 side, who would it be? So we're talking, Brighton, Wolves, all these, Brentford, Crystal Palace.
Not Villa anymore. We don't include Villa because Villa have gone consistent top 6 now.
Man United still considered top 6 because they're absolute rubbish. Now.
No, you can
not the last few years.
We've replaced Villa with Man United. There we go. So Man United are open to choose from. Not that I'd want any of their players, if I'm honest with you.
It's really hard. Like I'd love Eze, but I also love Iliman Ndiaye at Everton. I'll go Eze, I think.
Cool. Yeah, great choice. All right. Morgan Gibbs White, time to sell. We're desperate to keep.
Keep.
Yeah. We might have changed that question.
Leader, hero.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's right. Now that the Alanga deal is happening, I think, because we kind of created that question when it was a bit uncertain about whether he was going to come or stay or go. I think it's more likely he's definitely going to stay now. So, but I think keeping is important. Yeah.
Morgan's got he's got the potential to be an all-timer here if he really wants to. He can be that guy, but we'll see.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he'd be too disappointed about that either. He loves it here, doesn't he? I think there's a real soft spot in his heart now for Forest. What about FA Cup or Champions League? The most polarizing question it seems like during this season.
Champions League.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I grew up on Champions League. Sorry, FA Cup.
Shit out. It's all right. Shit out. So this is always the question that I hate it, but we're going to throw it out there. Forest win the Premier League, but are then relegated. And you know very well how this looks because this has been your whole life where they've not been in the Premier League other than the last 3 years. Forest win the Premier League, but are then relegated into the Championship for the next 25 years. Would you take it, Adam Wiklo?
I guess so. You can't take away then a Premier League, can you? Like, if we're like lingering in the Premier League for 25 years, like you kind of feel like Palace are now, where what are they doing until they won the FA Cup recently? So maybe I guess so. I think I'll take it.
Oftentimes, I think what we hear is there are quite a few people who have said yes, they would take it, but there are a few people who say I wouldn't want to at 25 years, like if it was a decade or or less or something of that nature. But brilliant, man, brilliant. That's all right. All right, that was it.
Lightning rounds.
Thank you very much indeed. Alrighty, okay. So let's have a bit of Forest chat. Anthony Alanga. We now know that he is going to be a Newcastle player. He's done his medical. I saw the video that was out on TikTok the other night when he was arriving at their training ground and there was fans outside getting very excited about Anthony Elanga. I have to say, what are your thoughts on the whole Anthony Elanga saga? Because it kind of turned into a little bit of one, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was ever a report of him like really wanting to go. We kind of speculated on our pod that maybe behind closed doors he said like, look, it's a good opportunity for me. I'd like to go. And I think Forest would have turned around and said, look, we're not going to let you go unless we get this deal. And I think he probably went, yeah, that's fine. Like, I think there was kind of a bit of a gentleman's agreement in that sense. So I think like, well, Newcastle have been rejected by every Tom, Dick and Harry. And now they've actually coughed up for what we want for him. I think it's terrific business in terms of signing him from Man United of what, £15 million and then selling him for 60 or up to 60, hopefully. I think that represents very, very acute, very good business from our point of view. And then if we can reinvest it, and that is the key part, isn't it? Is can we reinvest it and replace him? But we replaced Brendan Johnson with Anthony Elanga. I'm sure we can do it again. I'm sure there's going to be some work. Obviously, it looks like we're going to go hard for Johan Bakayoko, but it's just whether we can convince him or not. But I think with that, you can say to a player that we're interested in terms of like Fofana, but Bakayoko or another, and say, look, right wing is there. Like you can have that in the Premier League, playing in Europe, playing against every top team, Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal, you name them, Liverpool. You will play every week, and I think it's an unbelievable opportunity for someone to come and put themselves in the spotlight in the biggest league in the world and announce themselves on a big stage, really. And Forest is a great club. Like, and I'm not saying that just as a bias, but we've got enough history where we're a decent sized club. We get 30,000 at home. We pack away all the time. We're a loud team. There's enough pressure on a player to get the best out of it, but there's also not enough pressure where we're going to like hound them out of the club because they've been rubbish. I think we did that with Elanga quite nicely, really, because he didn't really play a lot for Man United. Came here, played every week for 2 seasons, got 31 goal contributions, got a 55 million, 60 million pound to a Champions League team. If that is not a good enough advert for a player like a Johan Bakayoko who's coming from the Eredivisie, I don't know what is.
It's perfect business. It's perfect recruitment, and it's not easy to do, and it's not easy to replicate. So let's make that perfectly clear that it's not going to be like a roving conveyor belt, potentially. Everyone's been crying out for Forest to try the Brighton model, and lo and behold, we do that, and there's still one or two people that just don't quite get it. And we've spoken extensively on this podcast with Raf, our football finance expert, that, you know, PSR, as we know, is a very real thing. We did not have to sell this window in the short term, but we did have to make a sale before the end of June next year when the next PSR deadline comes. So it's a question of timing. I think you're right. Forest have played a really good hand here. We know that Eddie Howe was interested for a long, long time. And ultimately, we had all the power with the 3 years on his contract. And I know that Owen in the comments says that, look, he says he might not have said it publicly. And yes, he was hanging out with Newcastle players in pre-season, or I saw him hanging out with maybe one or two. But I don't read anything into that, if I'm honest with you, Owen. And ultimately, you know, what do you expect him to do? Just kind of live in a hut, become a hermit for the summer? I mean, ultimately, it's unrealistic, isn't it? You know, the camaraderie with Ola Aina and Callum Hudson-Odoi is there to see. So I'm absolutely adamant that if Forest had turned down bid after bid after bid, and Anthony Elanga stayed at Forest, I believe that he would have been happy to do so. But ultimately, we are a selling club. That was never, ever going to be any different. When players come, they're not signing for life. It would be great to think that we can get more years out of Morgan and he does become a player that stays around and becomes an elite legend. But if I'm honest with you, I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. Players will come and go. I was gutted, as I said earlier, about Mikel Antonio leaving. But that was the last time that happened. I'm quite pragmatic, and I think that the reason why I am that way is that one goes out the door, and as you said, Adam, one will come in, and all of a sudden we'll fall in love with him. They'll do a Cruyff turn, or they'll score a cheeky goal, or they'll have a great social media presence or something, and all of our energy and love will go into that player, and they will be catapulted and lifted by the City Ground crowd. Potential wingers coming in could be the likes of Malik Fofana, could be Johan Bakayoko, Adam. But thoughts on the whole Europa League thing now come to mind, because it looks like Forest are, from what the media are saying, going to get promoted, if you like, into the Europa League. Now that Lyon are staying in League 1, they're going to stay Europa. It looks like Palace will swap places with us, potentially go out of Europe altogether, but it looks like a swap's going to happen. Does that now make Forest more attractive, Adam? Now that we're in the Europa, we had European football, we had conference, which, some aren't particularly interested in. I say don't turn your nose up at any European football when you haven't played it for God knows how long. But Europa is a much more attractive competition. Do our targets now change, Adam?
I don't think the targets change. I just think we've got a bit more of a pull. Like, then you're automatically getting the 2 extra games. Obviously, if we got through the Conference League playoff, we would have had 8 games anyway if you included them in the 6 group games. So it's 8 straight away. So it's an extra game at home. It's an extra game away in Europe if we're in the Europa League. The ties are a little bit more glamorous. I think you got teams like AC Milan in there, and I think Dortmund might be in that competition as well. So they're quite attractive sort of teams to play against. I think you look at Man United and Tottenham, who got to the final last year, and we beat both of them home and away. We took 12 points off those teams. Like, so you think, well, if they one of them could win it, which Tottenham did in the end, and an ex-Forest player and Brennan Johnson scoring the winner, then why can't we go deep in that competition? I had resigned myself to the Conference League though, and thought, the journey will be great because we'll win the Conference League and then we'll be in the Europa League next year when we come between 7 and 12 or whatever, and we realistically have a tiny dip because of the congestion. So I'm not too fussed about which one we get in. I look at it last season and the season before, we prized Ibrahim Sangare from a Champions League team in PSV and came here. I know he's had his injury worries and his problems and malaria and all that sort of stuff. We prized Milenkovic away from a team that back-to-back European finals in Fiorentina. So I don't think we haven't got like that thing about us to bring players in. I think it's just trying to sell that project as well. And I think it would we said it on our pod, and I've said it already on here. It was we want depth, but now we need a starter in terms of a right winger. So that should be more of a pull anyway. But if we can get 2 or 3, because we need someone to help Callum on the other side, because we obviously sold Ramon Sosa to Palmeiras as well. So we need depth. We need people to rotate. We need different options, because there was a clear lack of it last season towards the end, wasn't there? That's why we struggled to get over the line. We should have got into the Champions League and we blew it. In hindsight, we blew it. But it is what it is. That's just our destination at the moment. That's just our destiny.
It was about depth. You're right. And just before Richard comes back, and what I would say is I'm almost with you. I almost want to stay in the Conference League because I think that we've got a really good chance of winning that. I know that, as you say, United and Spurs got to the final in what was potentially not a great Europa last season. But my kind of brain is telling me, go and win conference, win a major trophy, and then have Europa the following season. Whereas if we go straight into Europa, it could be that we get quarters, we get semis, we drop out, we don't finish high enough in the Premier League to get Europe again. And I'm making pathways in my head that probably won't come to fruition. But I'm a Forest fan that wants it all and all the rest of it. But it looks like Europa, and either way, it's going to be fabulous. We're the bad guys as far as Palace are concerned. I don't give a shit.
We've formed a rivalry without really trying, and I love that because obviously
we do it every year with someone.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot who it was on Twitter. Was it
Southampton a couple of years ago?
Was it Silverdale? Was it his fault? Yeah, that was great because they got a crap tree, and then then obviously Leicester come back up, so we had to laugh at them for a bit, and then I think it's going to be inadvertently Palace, and that's a shame because I actually quite like Palace as a club, but no one likes I think it's a couple of social media accounts, is it? Talk CPFC. I think he's been running his mouth a little bit. Everyone wants to see him kind of cry, I guess. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think it was a couple seasons. Well, not last season, but the season before. If you talk to Chris Elmer, it's Luton, right? That was another one that we seem to have a bit of a battle with. But yeah,
he despises Bournemouth.
Oh, me
I've
too.
never known hatred like it.
I don't know what it is. I mean, clearly not beating them as we haven't since coming back to the Premier League. We haven't won in quite a few
Getting
years.
stomped 5-0 at their ground might
Well,
have.
there's that, yeah, but
might
it
help.
yeah, I keep saying, Adam, I'm convinced, and Chris and I, we chat like you guys do, and we're both convinced that we have to run a campaign to convince the rest of Forest community that we're going to do the double over them next season. Because I'm sick of watching that. But I love that you called out Asani Dio too, because that's a guy that I like. Because it's not necessarily skill sets with Anthony Elanga that you absolutely have to replace, because it's impossible, the kind of elite speed he has, but it's the kind of the profile of the player, right? That guy who's sort of been left behind, not been given much of an opportunity, but clearly has talent, has a pretty good ceiling. Because I don't even think he's reached his ceiling yet. But I'm curious to hear what you have to say about some of the people that we brought back. I know you talked about Ola Aina, because we focus a lot, which is great, on who we might want to bring in, what kind of profiles of players we want to bring in that maybe we don't currently have. Because to your point, kind of adds a little bit of a deviation, a plan B, and another way of attacking teams. But I'm curious about Nico as well, because I still think there's more to come from Nico Williams, and he's continued to progress as a player. So how important was it to secure him? If you have anything else to add about Ola, great, because we love having him on the club still. But I'm a huge fan of Nico Williams too, so I'm curious to get your thoughts on him coming back.
Yeah, no, he's vastly improved over the last 18 months, 2 seasons. You'd say there was that back end of Cooper's reign where he was playing quite a lot, and then he got that broken jaw. I think Brennan kicked him in the gob, didn't he? Christian absolutely despised Nico Williams a lot. He was just he was so inept and everything. And then the contrasting opinion of him now, because he's swapped to left back, is night and day. And I think Nico's worked a lot on defending in the Premier League. I think it was a lot of adaptation. He left his he left a club that in Liverpool where he'd been since he was a kid, new city, new place, playing at the highest level week in, week out. I think it was a lot for him probably. And then there is a pressure at Forest. I've said that there is a pressure to play at the City Ground, especially in front of that crowd. We can be either your best mate or your worst enemy. I find that since he's moved to left back and Ola's moved to the right, it's just been perfect. Been really good balance. I think Nico this season will look to hopefully add some more numbers in terms of going forward, because he is good going forward when he wants to.
Yeah,
and just continuing that consistency that he showed last season. Because last year we were talking, we could have gave player of the season to so many different players, but he was consistent every single week, and he only missed out because Milenkovic was so brilliant, Elliot Anderson was so good, Chris Wood had a phenomenal season, Ola Aina, Matt Sells, Murillo's still obviously good as ever, but Nico was still part of that group. He just obviously, because he's a left back and wasn't really getting the numbers, or maybe not doing the thing on the social media, you kind of just didn't notice him as much. But enough people did notice him. I think he was brilliant last season. I mean, he's the best right-footed left back in the league, I'd say, because I don't think there is anyone else.
Yeah, he's been superb. And before we move away from the Forest chat, because time is against us, it's worth mentioning, as Owen does in the chat, that Nico has changed shirts, so he's going to be wearing number 3 next season, which I love to see. And I think he's going to be our best number 3 since Stuart Pearce. But that means that the number 7 shirt has become vacant, and so the number 7 shirt has now fallen to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Adam, we haven't got a lot of time left on the Forest chat before we move on, but does this indicate he's going to sign a new deal, do you think?
Well, we actually said this in our group yesterday. Is it part of the contract? I'll have 7 and I'll sign. I said that I think Callum owes us a little bit, because we've revived his career in a sense. And I mean, it's not. There's a debate. I don't know if you guys want to chime in on this, but there's a debate would you rather let him go for free because then we don't give any money to Chelsea, or would you rather sell him for I don't know 20 million and you have to give 10 million of that to Chelsea? Do you know what I mean? I'd rather make some money at the end of the day. We signed him for 3 million. We're going to make a profit anyway, regardless, because Callum's really come back into his own. I mean, he hasn't got the pace he maybe shown when he first come through at Chelsea, but I think everything else he's got to his game is so vital. His ability to retain the football and possession is vital for us. And I never expected his work rate to be so high, but he runs and runs and runs. I remember like he having a right battle with Daniel Munoz in the first season he was with us. Like Daniel Munoz was in the right back position, and he's ran all the way to the left, and Callum's ran with him and just like chopped him one. And I'm like, yeah, like I can't believe that. Fantastic. Like long may that continue. So yeah, I think he will want to get his numbers up, but the way he is, he takes one or two players out of the game for other teams because they're so concerned about him cutting inside and shooting, and as his trademark is. I'd like to see it a lot more though. Obviously, because they're fun. It's fun, isn't it?
It's super fun. He's my son's favourite player. He absolutely loves him for that cutting inside, that trademark. I'd always want to sell him if we can get some money. If it means we have to sell him. But I think that a new contract is going to be signed. I think you could be right about that little clause there. I want the number 7 shirt. And I love that kind of thing in a player. It's like, well, listen, if I'm staying, this is what I want. I want to be the number 7. Well, that's a big number to put on your back. If you're a winger, I don't think Nico had to wear it so hard because he's a fullback. He just took the number 7 shirt. But I think if you're a winger and you put the number 7 shirt on your back, I think that adds pressure to you. And I love that he wants that pressure and he wants that responsibility. And I hope the contract is good. I'm expecting it to be 3 years, and that's going to take him up to a certain age. And kind of randomly, he's the kind of player that I might think could stay for even longer because, in a couple of years' time, he's really kind of solidly become a Forest stalwart. And if he goes and carries on what he's doing, unless some kind of silly bid comes in from somewhere, then he's the kind of player that you might see staying yet again. But again, we haven't got a crystal ball and who knows where that's going to go. Okay, right. Time is against us. We are going to include something that we have never done before because Adam reached out to us before we came on and said, I've got a quiz for you guys. If we have time, can we pop it in? And so we're going to go into added time and we're going to do a quiz that Adam has put together for Richard and I. So let's have it, Adam. Over to you.
Well, it was really good anchoring there with the number 7 shirt. So I want to find out from you two. You can't include Nico Williams in this. It'd be too easy. Our last 10 players that have wore the number 7 shirt. You can work. This is you guys working together.
I know of at least one.
We get live.
It doesn't have to be in order. Like just if you can reel them off. I would love to love for you guys to try and get it.
Do we get lives?
You get 3 lives between you.
Between us, or
it's a group effort.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
So you can discuss it. You can be an out loud because obviously it's a podcast, so it'd be a bit weird to have like that bit of dead space. But the last 10 players to have wore the number 7 shirt, that does not include Callum Hudson-Odoi or Nico Williams because that is just far too easy.
Okay, go on, Richard.
Lewis Graben's one of them, right?
Lewis Graben is one. And now this gets really hard.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So are we? Can I ask? Does it take us out of the Premier League era?
It takes mainly in the Championship, and then even into the doldrums.
What I mean is pre-1992. Does it take us to that?
No. It doesn't. It's more like League One, and then like till now, basically till Lewis Graben.
Okay, I don't remember him.
There's some
Steve Stone.
No, Steve Stone's not on this one. It's after Steve Stone.
No, I didn't think he was on there, but okay. Go on, Rich. Have you got one?
Oh gosh.
We have mentioned one player on today's podcast. He came up. I mentioned him anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Man. You know what?
Would you like any clues?
Not yet. But before Lewis Graben had the 7, who had the 7?
One of these people have been on our podcast actually as a guest.
Andy Reid.
No, but Andy Reid has worn the 7, but not in the last 9
Steve
players.
Cook?
Steve Cook was 27. And
he said on his podcast, and it's the only one I can think of recently.
He was in the 20s. We're not doing very well in this quiz, as you can all tell. What are the comments saying to help us out? Jimmy Garner. He didn't have 7.
It's 20, I think, right?
Yeah.
That was 37.
Paul Anderson.
Paul Anderson is one. Yep. I had an aneurysm at Paul Anderson. I think I've mentioned to you on WhatsApp during that Swansea playoff.
Yeah, a shout to Owen Bailey in the comments for that. That was Owen's shout. Come on, Rich. Come on, Richie.
Man.
There's a player from Nottingham that wore number 7. He came through our academy.
Oh, you know what? It's funny when you're on the spot, your brain just starts to melt into itself. And everything you know about football just kind of goes out the window.
Actually, 2 players who came from our academy wore the number 7 shirt.
What, as their squad number?
Yep.
Man.
Owen Bailey is helping you out massively.
Oh, well, David Prutton.
David Prutton, yes.
Matty Cash?
No.
Oh, damn.
Matty Cash wore number 11.
Yeah, he did, yeah. David
Playing
Prutton
right
was...
back.
Yeah, he did. Again, the right backs like the flare numbers by the sounds of things, don't they?
Yeah.
David Prutton. I don't remember him wearing 7. Again, it's crazy, isn't it? I think the turnover of players coming into Forest over the last 10 years hasn't helped.
There's some extremely difficult ones on this.
Come on, give us another clue.
Oh, man.
One player had 2 spells with us and played central midfield.
Pep Guardiola.
Yes, Adelaine Guardiola.
Okay.
Another was a striker.
Oh, Matty Fryatt.
Matty Fryatt, yeah.
As soon as you start giving me these little hints, it kind of helps to focus my spongy brain.
Yeah.
Jeff's asking, this isn't me, but Jeff in the comments, Jeff G says, didn't Yates at one point wear it? I'm going to give us a hard no. I know that didn't happen.
I think Yates has always been 22, you know. I don't think he's ever had a different number.
Gosh.
One player was a utility player, could play right back, left back, central midfield, out wide sometimes. And we sold him to Newcastle United.
James Perch.
James Perch, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you will get the other 5, to be honest.
Go on then. Give us the other 5 then.
Liam Bridcut.
Well, I know the player, but I wouldn't have got that.
Chalobah.
Okay.
He was on loan to us.
Yeah.
Nicky Southall and David Frio.
Nicky Southall. Oh,
David Frio. Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We didn't do great on that, to be honest with you. But,
Good start.
But without any preparation, I am quite proud of the number 7 shirt linkage that you referenced, because we didn't plan that, so that worked out quite well, indeed. We are nearly out of time. Thank you for that, Adam. We love a quiz, but we always prefer it if we do a bit better than we did there. Let's, in the meantime, do something that we always like to end our shows on.
Name that grandmother.
So yes, this is my final poser for you. Marmite, love it or hate it?
Oh, I tried it last year and I hated it.
I tried it last year and hated it. I love
Wow.
it. How am I cooking your steak?
Medium rare.
Good man. Favorite cheese?
Oh, I'm boring. Cheddar.
No, it's not boring. It's a good one. What's the best sandwich?
Oh, sausage and egg.
Oh, God,
good.
you know what? My stomach just rumbled. What's your favourite film?
Oh, this is too hard. Like, how long have you got with that?
Well,
I've favorite film. Blimey, I'll Shawshank Redemption.
Fantastic
Great movie.
film. And what are your grandmother's names?
Helen and Maria.
Helen and Maria.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. We salute grandmothers everywhere, and we are very grateful for you taking part in the Name That Grandmother today.
Name that grandmother.
Okay, we're out of time. We've just gone over the hour mark, and we have had a great episode today. Thank you so much to everyone that's been with us in the comments and been watching along. Please do us a favor, hit like and subscribe, won't you? It is free to do. We're on X, we're on Facebook, TikTok and Instagram and all the usual places as well. Please go ahead on Spotify and Apple and leave us a tasty 5-star review. I dare you. Okay, Adam, it's been brilliant to have you with us. Any closing thoughts before we depart?
No, just thanks very much. Thanks for obviously the personal messages you guys have sent, and obviously the cheese hamper, which was a extra surprise in the post. No, I really appreciate it. All the Forest fan base have been amazing. I'm looking forward to the season. I'm going to Chesterfield on Saturday to watch our mix of squad and B team probably smash him.
You see Omar Richards, Josh Bowler, Emmanuel Dennis all get their mandatory 45 minutes.
Before he goes to Wrexham.
Yeah.
He's on Disney Plus.
There you go.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, Adam. And Richard Spray over in Oklahoma. Any closing thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, been an honor. Wiklo's one of the best guys around, so appreciate him greatly, and certainly continue to hope, pray and hope that everything will continue to progress well for Emma and for you guys as a family. But yeah, as Chris always likes to say, right, you're class and you're a legend, so we appreciate you enormously. And I'll hopefully get a chance to meet you. We'll be over in the UK in October, November, early November. So looking forward to going to a Manchester United match at home. So hopefully I'll get a chance to catch up with you in person or something of that nature. So appreciate you greatly. Thank you again. It's been an honor.
Yes, indeed. Richard Spray is coming to the UK, and hopefully we will be meeting up. We will be meeting up for definite, but hopefully we'll be able to get to the Man United game that weekend. It looks like the kit is going to be released at 6 p.m. tonight, finally, and all those people that have already made a purchase from other sources will find out whether they wasted £7.50 or not. So it looks like it's going to be the one that's been out there for a while to come. Paul Morley in our chat said that's not going to be the kit. I'm willing to bet a £5 right now that that's not going to be the kit. So I've been ribbing him gently, saying I don't think your £5 is that safe, mate. Because if it's not that one, then Forrest have pulled off an absolute masterstroke in keeping the actual kit secret from the one that everyone thinks it is. So keep your eyes peeled for that at 6 o'clock. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching and listening along to this episode. We're going to be back in just a couple of days' time. We're going to be doing the third one with the architect. Matt Druitt is going to be back on Talking Reds, and we're going to be talking all things the City ground. We know that the development is now getting closer and closer to happening. We're going to talk more in detail with the expert about how that process might look. So please tune in to the third one with the architect coming up soon. But as for today, it's been a real pleasure to have Adam Wiklo from Red Side of the Trent with us on Talking Reds and talking all things personal and all things Forest. We'll see you soon.
Come join Greg and Richard right here on top.